Australia, you've got a lot to say.
On issues big and small.
This isn't some dodgy Facebook poll, it's one of the biggest social science research projects in the country.
Together with research company VoxPop Labs and the University of Melbourne, we've put nearly 600 questions to a panel of around 60,000 Australians.
And those responses are weighted so the demographics match the true population of Australia.
Over the next month, we'll share what we've learned with you, starting with how the pandemic has affected us.
A year in, 56% of us had never had a COVID-19 test, and men are more likely than women to have not been tested.
2/3 of us approve of the way the federal government has handled the crisis, and even more of us are happy with our state or territory government.
And almost all of us claim that we did a good job personally complying with COVID-19 restrictions.
And we've got some interesting data on how we've been affected. The pandemic changed everything. Businesses like this one were forced to close their doors and gym classes went digital.
5 to go here.
As the pandemic stretched on, gym owner Mary Cullen took to the small screen.
Last one here. We used Zoom. We found that was really interactive.
And while many embraced the new age of exercise, others lost motivation.
Some of them would just turn their cameras off and be doing the class in their pyjamas and maybe not to their full potential.
So watching TV instead of actually doing the
walking
class.
around, yeah.
Almost a third of Australians said their physical health and fitness declined during the pandemic, while about a quarter of us got even fitter. And our mental health was affected too. 30% of us said it suffered, while just 11% said it improved. For exercise fanatic Lena Foti, minimal restrictions in Canberra meant minimal change to her routine.
We could get back into a kind of a normal life pretty soon, and so that helped a lot mentally and physically.
Normal life looks a bit different post-pandemic. About a third of us say we're more tech-savvy than before COVID hit. A quarter believe their work-life balance improved, while almost half of us say we have a better sense of priorities since the crisis. This pandemic has touched all of us, and of course, it's not over yet. And the Australia Talk survey found we're not keen to rush back to the way things were.
It was absolutely devastating. We went from a thriving business to not operating a business at all.
Rob Pennicott's business shut down for 4 months, and he's still feeling the effects.
We're 40.8% down in turnover to where we were same time 2 years ago.
When the Australia Talks survey was taken, 79% of us said the international border should stay shut until the pandemic is under control globally. That includes overwhelming majorities in all states, regions and age groups.
I feel really strongly that the borders should stay closed to international travel until it is truly safe. I believe that will be 2 to 5 years.
20% of his business was from international visitors. He's now at reduced capacity, but at least his business, for now, is sustainable.
We are on a knife edge still. Every week goes by and gets under the belt and I go, phew.
Travellers are being kept out, but so are citizens, including James Cater, stuck for more than a year in Siberia.
I really just miss my dad and my sister, my family, more than anything. A bunch of people want to protect their own way of life, and that comes at the expense of mine.
At the start of the pandemic, he was kept in by Russian border closures. Since then, he's had flights cancelled on him in July, August, October and December. Travel is one of many freedoms restricted in the pandemic, but we've accepted that. 70% of us say sometimes freedoms need to be restricted to keep us safe. That's up 16 percentage points since we asked the same question in 2019.
Now I'm in the weird position where I'm actually applying for Russian temporary residence. So I can get my Russian vaccine so I can come back to Australia.
That may take a while. We asked Australians when they think life will be more or less back to normal. Around 20% of us thought that would be by early next year. Another fifth didn't see it happening until March 2023. And 8% of us say things will never be back to normal.
Depressing is, I guess, how I describe it. The whole feel of the place was just sad.
And the early settlers.
Near Hobart, Bonorong Wildlife Sanctuary is used to welcoming dozens of tour buses a day filled with cruise ship guests, but not at the moment.
You want some breakfast? Look. There were many months where we were sitting at 20% of our normal income. Even in our better months, we might have been looking at still 50% down.
Tourism helps fund the sanctuary's charity work.
What is that?
A wildlife rescue service and veterinary clinic. Despite being in the red without guests, he also thinks it's safer for all to stay shut.
It's devastating, but what's the alternative? I don't know where the breaking point is for a business like ours, and to be honest, I haven't allowed myself to stop and think properly what would happen if this does go for, say, another 3 years.